Hey YouTube, so follow-up video, went to the range, shot about 600 rounds to the Ruger Mark IV, and this is in the stock configuration. Excellent. Very happy with it, had very little reliability issues. It is a rimfire, so you will get some misfires. I contribute all the reliability issues I had with the ammunition. So stock, what I'm going to do in this part 2 video is I'm going to install the Volquartsen Accurizing Kit. So this replaces most of the internals and gives you a new trigger as well. This will have the trigger weight at about 2.5 pounds, and it's currently set at about 5, so it's going to reduce it about half the way and also eliminates the magazine disconnect. It is kind of a weird topic because with a rimfire, you are not supposed to dry fire. Ruger does say, and I directly contacted them, that you're okay to dry fire, and they do recommend if you do prolonged practice with dry fire, you just use snap caps. It is a rimfire, so I don't excessively dry fire this gun, but if I want to, it's always good practice, in my opinion, to dry fire. And I'm also demonstrating the trigger pull. So it's gonna be about a 5-pound pull. Safety's off. We do have a magazine in because of the magazine disconnect. Pulling. So it's a there's very little take up. Let's do it again. This is the factory trigger. So you hit this is the take up. You get to the wall. A little bit of creep. Then it breaks. I'd say for a pistol, this is actually quite a good trigger pull. It's not too heavy. It's a very defined wall. There's a little bit of creep to be expected, but so a short travel, but this trigger pull from the wall is about 4 pounds. It's a pretty heavy wall. But very little travel. I think it's a good trigger. But let me install this. And I'll get back to you and let you know how I feel. What I'm also going to be doing is installing the spacer. Like I said in the last video, the ambidextrous safety digs into me. I get that high grip, and then you can see it's poking into me as a right-handed shooter. So going to be taking out that ambidextrous extended safety and installing the Volquartsen Accurizing Kit. And I'm not going to be installing it on video. I've thought about it, but Volquartsen, the company themselves has a really good video on installing it. So I cannot get near that video quality in terms of in-depth and in terms of showing you what's going on. So I decided not to do it. I'm just going to show a before and after. So stay tuned and I'll show you what I think about with it installed. So we're back. Got the Volquartsen parts installed. You can tell by the different trigger. Not very flashy. They do make different kits that have, anodized red, anodized gold in terms of the Volquartsen trigger. But it's all installed. It's going to be hard to see even if I disassemble it, but this is a new hammer assembly. So the old parts I have over here, put in this bag. This is all the original parts. So this is the disconnector, the hammer. We have the sear. We have the plunger and plunger spring. And that's the right side safety. I deleted that. What else? Sear spring. And here is let's see, that is the original hammer. And so got it all installed for Volquartsen parts. Let's take a look at that trigger. Oops. Try again. So one thing we do have is the magazine disconnect is removed. That is a feature I do like. The ability to shoot the gun without having the magazine disconnect. the magazine disconnect safety. And so this is adjustable for over travel and then the pre-travel. I have it adjusted the way I liked it. I spent a few minutes with that. And what we have is a bit of take-up. You get to a very defined wall. Press, 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 press. And then you have no creep. It just, the trigger breaks. And it's, all this is a 2 1/4 pound trigger. So it more than reduces the trigger pull by half. Very clean. It's a very match style trigger. Excellent. I'm sure it also has benefits of things like the ignition. I'm sure it's an extra power spring in terms of the plunger and the hammer, so should have less reliability problems is what I should say. But very nice trigger. I love the trigger pull. I love eliminating the magazine disconnect. I don't think there's too much to say. It's a super nice trigger. And this is just part 1. One thing I can think of as a downside is if you hand this to a new shooter, 2 1/4 pound trigger is a very, very light shooter. Is a very light trigger, I should say. If you hand this to a brand new shooter, you need to give them extra training on, on safety, on keeping their fingers straight off the trigger anytime they handle the gun, and extra training on the safety in general. Because now, it's going to be a lot less forgiving for mistakes to a new shooter. But it's not like it's a hair trigger. It's not. I say that, but I just gently pressed on it and it went off. It's a very light trigger. Now, if you hand this to a new shooter, just be sure to, highly emphasize the aspect of safety and how important it is, because it's going to be very unforgiving. That's one thing I can imagine. You use 22s as a trainer, but it's not that this would not be a suitable trainer. It's just that if you do, you just got to make sure that they realize this is a light trigger and just be safe. That's one thing I can think of, but overall I'm pretty happy. I got extra parts, the Ruger OEM internals in case I need to go back, but I'm going to keep these internals installed. Let's dry fire again. And I have contacted Ruger. They did advise that dry firing does not hurt the gun. I'm not going to do it excessively, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with my internals. Brings the trigger pull from about 5 pounds to 2 1/4, so very nice. There it is. That's part 2. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe.